I got more great points, that I throw right here. So here's a point. Tempo. Well, what I mean by tempo is time under tension. Time under tension, which is something I discovered after a year of lifting, my second year. The muscle responds well to having tension over time. Applying a huge amount of force on a muscle for a short period of time is not going to give you the greatest amounts of benefits. So the more time under tension that you put that muscle into with a good amount of weight is going to increase the muscle gain that you can get out of it. Increasing time under tension, you want to increase your tempo. So let's say I'm doing a bicep curl. The bicep curl is 1 second up and then 1 second down. So one thing I can change about it is the intensity and the time under tension. And so what I want to do is I want to contract the weight as hard as I can for 1 second or 2 seconds, depending on how heavy it is. The heavier, the more it's going to take time to go up. And then I want to lower the weight. During that lowering of the weight, I'm going to increase the amount of time it takes to lower all the way to the bottom of the position. And so if you increase it to, let's say, 3 seconds, you're going to contract for 1 second, and you're going to slowly have the weight go down for around 3 seconds all the way to the bottom. That increases tension on the muscle over time, thus increasing your tempo. Having a 1-to-1 ratio is good. It's still good because you're still, having time under tension, but just not as much. And so if you're applying different types of tempos into your workout, it's going to help you build muscle because you're putting a large amount of, pain and tension and contraction on that muscle for larger periods of time. And so because you're doing that, you're increasing the intensity of your workouts, and that could be a great thing. And so increasing intensity, increasing tempo can increase muscle gain because you're stressing that muscle for longer periods of time. You can work with those factors to adjust in the gym, and you can plan your exercises differently. But if you got time in the gym, using tempo is going to help you get some time under tension on that muscle, which you want. There's a lot of studies that I found, and even Athlete Next was talking about that at one point. Having some time under tension is great. There's a lot of research around it saying around 45 seconds of tension in one set is going to allow that muscle to grow at a good capacity. So you want to reach for around like 45 seconds of a total set. So that's a lot of seconds, That's a lot of time. So it's just like 1 second of contracting and then 3 seconds of like lowering the weight. So you're gonna have to do that like 10, 11, 12 times. But that's if you got time. And that's a lot of volume. But it depends. You can lower that volume, you can fix around with it, Doesn't have to be 12 repetitions, it can be 8 repetitions instead. As long as you have a good amount of tension over time, it's completely fine. You're still building muscle. Another point I discovered during my second year of training is insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is when you're having too much carbs and then you're having pre-diabetes, and every time you eat, there's insulin spiking. No matter what you eat, insulin's gonna spike. If you eat carbs alone, insulin spikes the highest. But if you eat carbs, proteins with fats, fats are gonna decrease that insulin. And so having whole meals is going to balance your insulin levels throughout the day. Eating less amount of times throughout the day is also going to balance your insulin levels. If you eat, let's say, 5 meals a day and all of them are packed with carbs, you're gonna be skyrocketing your insulin. And so you don't want to do that. You don't want to skyrocket your insulin. It's good because insulin promotes IGF-1, which is a growth factor. Insulin growth factor basically increases growth hormone that allows you to gain muscle. The thing is that it's bad for your health because having too much insulin in your body, spiking every time, will give you pre-diabetes. You'll start getting skin tags, you'll start getting darkening of the skin in some areas, usually the neck. So you want to stick to a balanced meal. So usually you want to focus your carbs around your training. So before and after training, you want to focus your carbs there. And then in the morning you have like fats and proteins and fiber. Later on in the evening, you have fats and proteins and fiber as well. Timing that is going to help your insulin levels. So you're not going to be spiking it a whole ton. Having just fats and proteins will spike insulin, but it won't make a huge spike. Usually it spikes a lot because of sugars. The more sugar you have in your food, you know, carbohydrates are sugars. The more sugars you have in your food, the more the spike is going to be at its peak. If you time that for before and after the gym, that's great, because that allows for a better protein synthesis. And protein synthesis is just having protein with carbs. And protein synthesis, it just allows you to build muscle. So the higher the protein synthesis, the higher the amounts of muscle you can build. The way to achieve a higher amount of protein synthesis is to have a high amount of protein and a high amount of carbs. Those work well together for protein synthesis because you're increasing insulin, you're increasing IGF-1, and thus you're increasing growth hormone, which you're increasing the amount of muscle capacity that you can gain. So that's why timing your meals is great. So always time your carbs around your pre-workout and post-workout, and have your fats and proteins and fibers in the morning and towards your last meal. That's going to greatly decrease insulin spikes, and that's going to allow you to feel better, because if your insulin's spiking all the time, you're going to have a lot of crashes. And when you crash a lot during the day, you know, you're going to have ups and downs, and it's going to be tiring. You know, you're going to feel it, and you're going to feel the difference if you switch to that, to a method where you're timing your carbs. So another point I want to go on is applying cardio after a gym session. So what you don't want to do is cardio before your gym session. Why? Because you're going to basically use glycogen storages before a workout. Your glycogen storage is basically the carbs that you digested, and it goes into your muscle. If you start performing high intensity cardio or moderately high intensity cardio, you know, if you do moderate cardio, it should be fine, or just simple cardio like walking. But if you're biking before or running before a workout, let's say for like, you know, 15-20 minutes straight, that's not good, because you're going to be depleting your glycogen storages that you saved up into your muscles for the workout. So if you start using your energy before the gym session, you know, you're going to feel lethargic, you know, halfway into your session. You want to feel 100% when you hit the gym. You know, you want to be carb loaded. You want to have, you know, as much power running through your veins, you know, as much as possible, right? So if you deplete your glycogen storages during your workout and you apply the cardio after, let's say you do cardio for 45 minutes on an incline at moderate pace on a treadmill. Now, this is going to go into the remaining glycogen storages, because you basically used most of them, you know, during your gym session if you trained hard enough. And now what your body is going to do, which is brilliant, it's not going to go into your carb storages. It's going to start going into your fat storages. So now it's a 2-in-1. You're working out at 100% with your carb storages. They get depleted. And now you're doing cardio. Now your body's picking into your fat storages to use fat as energy for your cardio, which is brilliant. That's the best way to do it. A lot of people in the gym I see every single time, most of the time. You know, like I just see people in the gym doing cardio before, which is great to do a warm up. Let's say 5 minutes of running. But, you know, going out for long periods of time before working out is not the best solution. It's not the best outcome. You want the best outcome. You want to go to the gym, you want to feel good, you want to have the best outcome you can. So you want to do your cardio after your session. That is the best outcome you can get. The best. Over all my 6 years of training, this is how it's done. And this is what I've seen from the internet, this is what I've seen from TikTok, this is what I've seen from every single YouTuber there is that talks about fitness, you know, even in research papers, and YouTubers that look into science and stuff like that. You want to do your cardio after. Sometimes you gotta be crazy a bit. Sometimes crazy is good. A little crazy, you know, a little craze, a little crave. You know, craving something's good too. So as a summary of it all, you want to try things, you want to be curious, and usually anecdotal evidence is the best thing that you're gonna get. You gotta try things out. You know, you gotta do things at the gym, and the experience over time is gonna help you, and it's gonna help mold you. It's gonna shape you up, and you'll learn. So that's it, folks. And I guess I'll see you in the next video.